Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. Your witchcraft is real. This is a message that I received. It was sent to me by one of our dear sisters. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a qualified nurse. So was my auntie, who was my father's sister. She was the eldest in their family. So when I was staying with her, she was a matron at the hospital where she was working. She was a cold-hearted woman, and I think that she transferred some of those demonic thoughts into my body. By the time that she passed away, I was 40 years old, and in our family, I was born in a family of 5 kids, and I actually have a twin brother that I even bewitched, Brother Nashi. That is how evil that I am. What happened was that my father, he came from Mozambique, but my mom, she is a Zimbabwean woman. She was staying in Mangura here in Zim. So when my father started to have a big disagreement, then my father returned back to Mozambique. He wanted me and my siblings to return back to Mozambique, but I was not in support of that. I wanted us to grow up here in Zim because of the education, but 2 of my brothers, they then went to Mozambique and started staying with my father there in Mozambique. As for my auntie, she was also staying here in Zim with us. My mom, this was like a very long time ago. My mom, what she used to do is that she used to go and sell some stuff in South Africa. This was like in the 1990s, in the early 1990s. That is when she would go there and sell some stuff. So she used to take one of my sisters with her, and I hated her for doing that. My auntie kept me by her side, and my auntie kept on feeding these demonic words into my ears. She kept on telling me that my mom hated me a lot and she didn't want me to achieve anything. And my twin brother, since he was very intelligent, he was supposed to be a doctor. And if I was going to allow him to become a doctor like he wanted, then it was going to be the end for me. The whole family was going to laugh at me. So we had to do something. I helped my auntie, or I can say that my auntie was the one who helped me so that I can bewitch my brother. We bewitched my brother, and when he was supposed to go to Cuba for his medical studies, he then started to get really sick and he passed away. Even the night when he passed away, he actually came to me and he said, "Oh dear sister, why have you done such a thing? You and I, we grew up at the same time in our mother's womb. I am your twin. I am like you. But why are you doing this thing to me?" But my auntie then suddenly appeared and struck down my twin brother. After my twin brother he had passed away, then I had graduated as a nurse. I was working at the same hospital where my auntie was working. I can say that my auntie gave me an evil heart. There was a lot of stuff that my auntie was doing. Let me confess to you that my auntie confessed to me that when she came out of nursing school with one of these other nurse who was an elderly nurse, they switched babies on this other day, and they started to switch babies. And I felt so sorry because those moms who gave birth on that night, they went home with the babies that didn't belong to them. And I then fell in love. And when I fell in love with a man who didn't have money. So my siblings, they were doing well in life. My auntie told me not to worry because we were about to finish them off. One day when my auntie we had returned from Mozambique because she said that she wanted to go and strengthen herself so that we can destroy all of my siblings that were progressing much faster in life than I was. I went to my auntie's place, and when I arrived at her place, she then gave me 2 matchsticks and she told me that I was supposed to buy this other big clay pot, and after buying that clay pot, I had to keep it and write the names of my mom, anyone that I hated. I had to write his or her name and place it inside that clay pot. And I was supposed to take this clay pot and I had to go to the place where my mom was staying. Since my mom now, she was quite old, she had returned back to her people. So some of my siblings, they had also gotten their residential stands there in the village where she was born. So they were staying there, raising their families. I bought all the items and I then teared off one page and I started to write a lot of names. Brother Nashi, the names that I wrote on this page, I think the names there are somewhere around 32 to 33. These were the names of my relatives, my father's relatives, as well as some other people that I went to school with, some that I was staying with in that same community that I hated. And all those people that I have written their names on that paper, and some of the people that have their names written on that piece of paper, most of them, they have died, and they die because of a simple accident. But when it came to my mom and her relatives, they have all been struck down by lightning. This only happens on the 23rd of December. My mom, she was struck by a lightning and she passed away. Even her younger sister was also struck down by lightning on the 23rd of December. So we have buried my mother's relatives in December, and they do not know who is busy bewitching them, yet I am the one who is bewitching them. And I'll keep on bewitching my mom's relatives as long as that clay pot is still buried in her village. The way that I buried this clay pot, after I had spoken with my mom, and when I told her that I wanted to bring some groceries, I went to the village where she was staying. And then late at night, I woke up when everyone was fast asleep. But it was not an easy thing to do because people were there. Most of her relatives, when they heard that I was traveling from the city coming to see her after so many years, they had came and were gathering at my mom's place. You know, as Africans, that is the way that we are. It was sort of like a function that was happening there. I had been given these ashes by my auntie that she had collected in Mozambique, and she had told me that if I were to find that people were too busy and I could not dig a hole in front of my mom's kitchen so that I can bury that clay pot that contained the names, what I was supposed to do is that I had to go outside, and when I would go outside, then I would blow the ashes that I would have placed on my hand. And that is what I did. I pretended as if I was having a stomach ache, and I went outside and I walked until I had reached the maize field. Then I took out the ashes that I had in my pocket. Then I started to blow those ashes in the direction of where my mom's houses were in her compound. And when I returned back into the kitchen, Brother Nashi, everyone was fast asleep. I then quickly looked for a spade. Then I started digging and digging. It was quite hard because in the village where my mom built a house, the ground, there is a lot of stones, but I continued digging until I saw that the hole was deep enough. Then I buried that clay pot and I placed the names of the people that I wanted to die one by one inside that clay pot, and I then went inside. There was this other hunting knife that I was given. My auntie had told me that the first thing that I was supposed to do when I returned back to Harare, I had to find any grave and I had to go and stab that grave with that hunting knife so as to awaken the spirit of the stranger who would be lying inside that grave that I would have stabbed. After I had done this ritual, I then returned back to the city with that hunting knife. I went to this other graveyard. I then selected a grave after I had carefully selected it, because I said that I wanted a grave which showed that the relatives of the deceased didn't care anymore about their relative whom they had buried inside that grave. And when I had found one, I took that hunting knife and I stabbed only once. Then I was amazed and shocked at the same time, because I saw this hunting knife as it was sinking into the grave and I could not see it anymore. In December, Brother Nashi, that was when I was told. It was on the 23rd. It was around 8 in the morning. I still remember that day when my mom was struck down by lightning because I was busy sweeping my own compound. That was when some of my mother's relatives texted me and told me that I had to quickly return back to the village. I said, is there anything wrong? And I knew that indeed there was something that was wrong, but I pretended as if I didn't know anything. So they were scared to tell me that my mom had passed away that very same morning and she had been struck down by lightning. What my mom had done was that she had gone into the maize field and she had said, let me just work a little bit before Christmas, because it was already raining season. Whilst she was busy working in the fields, she was then struck by lightning. I arrived in the village, and when everyone didn't notice, I then went and I collected the soil at the place where she had been struck down by lightning. The crops that were surrounding the area where she had been struck down by lightning, the crops had been burnt. I collected the soil that had also been burnt by the fire that had been produced by the lightning, and I just placed the soil in my pockets for my auntie. It told me that she was going to be in need of that soil. What she was going to use it for, I do not know, but whenever someone will be struck down by lightning, the one that we were bewitching, my auntie will always ask me to collect the soil until she passed away. Even when my auntie passed away, she said, please, I want you to take the soil, because she had this other small safe, that safe where you keep your valuable items. She had a metallic safe in her bedroom, so that was where she was keeping some of the soil. She told me that by the time that she would have died, I was supposed to open that safe and I had to collect the soil, and I had to place it inside a coffin. If I was not going to be able to do that, then I had to come later on and sprinkle the soil on her grave. I had the opportunity, Brother Nashi, to be with my auntie whilst she was in her coffin, and I quickly threw the soil into her coffin, and my auntie was buried with that soil inside her coffin. This is what I did to my mom's kids, and this is what I did to my mom's relatives. Even up until this day, this is what I am still doing. There are people that are still on the list that are still waiting to die, and some of them, when I think about the way that they are going to die, I ask myself, do they deserve it, or do they not deserve it? Because some of them were people that were my neighbors, that we just had a simple quarrel, with, and for that I had their name written on this death list. I call it a death list. If anyone dies, the person that has their name written on this death list, I'll have a dream, then their name will be cancelled out. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admins. Strange things do happen in this world, and indeed, witchcraft is real. Just imagine bewitching your mom such that she will be struck down by lightning.